Okay, so today I do have a fairly interesting video for everybody. Feel free to stick around for it. Right here we have our Dell Inspiron 560. Just as normal as ever, I believe. See, normal as ever, right? And we're gonna get into the specifics on motherboard, CPU, GPU, and for two other computers we're gonna do that as well. Now, for my laptop that I used for a long time, I'm not going to get into too big specifics. It's just going to be what year, what kind of laptop, CPU, GPU, and how much RAM I used. So yeah, let's get on with it. Right here we have a Dell Inspiron 560, and we have a little bit of an interior change to it. Okay, so we have, okay, if I can show you right there, that's an ASRock A320-HDV motherboard, right? Now this is an AM4 motherboard. It supports has two slots for DDR4 memory, and I think it can support up to 64 gigabytes. It has PCIe 3.0 and a PCIe 2.0 with an older APU. It has 4 SATA plugins. They're all going to be right here underneath your GPU. And you have one M.2 NVMe slot right here, right underneath your CPU cooler. Now right here we have a Thermaltake 600 watt, 80 plus power supply. And it's going to be powering this Ryzen 3 1200. The architecture of that CPU is Zen, so it's the first gen of Zen. Now it has 4 cores, 4 threads. Its base clock is 3.1 gigahertz and boost clock is 3.4. It has an 8 megabyte L3 cache and a 65 watt TDP. And it is 14 nanometers, if anyone wants to know that specifically. Now, to get on with our GPU right here, if you can see it, EVGA GeForce 980 Ti. It is a very solid GPU even for today. That one cost me $70, and it has some of the better cooling out of a lot of these. Now, when you buy these, I do recommend getting better cooling. Also, for anyone who's buying one just like this, there's a master and slaves BIOS switch right here. In one of the BIOS, if your fan cuts off while the GPU is running, then it's just because the BIOS may be corrupted. Keyword may be, because it could also be just a fan control failure on the GPU since it's 10 years old. 10 something years old, close enough to it anyway. But yeah, these are getting cheap now, and they're still solid 1080p GPU cards. Right here we have our 500 gigabyte HDD, and right here, if I can show you, this is T-Force Vulcan Z DDR4 3200 megahertz. And to get into the specifics of our 980 Ti, it has 6 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory, a 384-bit memory bus, 336 gigabytes or gigabits a second bandwidth. The base clock on this GPU is 1000 megahertz, and the boost clock is 1075 megahertz. The TDP on this GPU is 250 watts. And it still supports DirectX 12 and supports Vulkan. And it's roughly about the same as a GTX 1070 or an RTX 2060. So if you wanted to go for a cheaper 20 series card and get good 1080p performance for cheap, I would definitely go for a 2060. But if you don't care and you want cheaper, way cheaper performance, get a 980 Ti. So yeah, it is a solid build. Later in the video, I'm going to come back to this and Well, I'll edit the game testing and after it. On to the next build. If anybody has any questions about this PC, just ask me in the comments and I will respond as I can. So right here, I have two FM2 motherboards. They're rather old, yes, I know. But here we are. This is a Gigabyte GA F2A68HM-HD2. It's an FM2 Plus motherboard. And we also have the Gigabyte GA F2A55M HD2, which is older than this one. They both have the same processor. I can take this one off, it's a lot easier to. Both motherboards came with their IO shield, but they both come with the AMD A4 7300 APU, which back in the day, it was a good option for people who couldn't afford a GPU, believe it or not. I mean, it's still a okay CPU to this date. I mean, it's 2 cores, 2 threads, so it's way behind, but they can still do a lot. Now, this is the specs over this motherboard. It uses the AMD A68H chipset as 2 DDR3 slots for RAM. It can hold up to 64 gigabytes of RAM. And it's up to 2400 megahertz. Now it has 4 SATA 3.0s. It has a single, I'm pretty sure a single PCI 16. And one PCI times 1. Now, if we look right here, it has HDMI, DVI, VGA. It is PS2, and it also has some USB 3.0s and 2.0s. Sorry for that, I'm back with the Gigabyte 55 motherboard. Now this is the AMD A55 chipset. FM2 comes with 2 DDR3 sockets up to 64 gigabytes, 4 SATA 2.0s right there. It has the same PCIe slots. It only uses USB 2.0s. It has HDMI, DVI, VGA, but this is all USB 2.0. But yeah, this is an older FM2 board. This is FM2 Plus. This is regular FM2 or something like that. But yeah, they're all pretty alright. The CPU in each one is the A4 7300. It is a 2-core, 2-thread processor with a base clock of 3.8 gigahertz and it boosts up to 4. And it has a 1 megabyte L2 cache and a 65 watt TDP. And it is a 32 nanometer processor. Now the integrated GPU in that is the Radeon HD 7470D. It's pretty decent for a game. You can run a good deal of stuff. It has 192 shaders at 800 megahertz. And it can support DDR3 1600. They're pretty cheap. But yeah, and we're gonna get onto my personal PC build in just a minute. Also, considering the fact that you should most definitely buy a more expensive motherboard, because this does not have any fan headers. All this has is a CPU header, and that is it. It calls it a day. So I would definitely invest in a motherboard that is a little over $30 if you want a decent one with fan headers on it. So I have to run this fan right here on it just to, well, keep it from running at 1,000,000 degrees. So yeah. But we're gonna load into Cyberpunk and Pragmata and we're gonna test this out. We're currently booting up Windows right now. Right here we have my personal desktop. I'm using a regular HP motherboard, keyboard. We got the Logitech G377 headset. We have this $100 monitor off of Amazon. It can go up to 200 hertz at 1080p. And right here's our computer. We have the Dell Astra 200. As you can see, it still has the original stickers on it, designed for Windows XP and Pentium dual core inside. I'm also using a rip-off iOS mouse because I'm too lazy to buy a real gaming mouse. And here, we'll open this bad boy up. It definitely has nothing too great in it. All right. Now, we have a cheap LGA 1150 or Haswell motherboard in this case. We have a 500 gigabyte HDD and I'm pretty sure a 300 gigabyte M.2 SSD, a little Wi-Fi card, our GPU, an i7-4790 with 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and a Thermaltake Tough Power GX3 850 watt PSU. This is my personal computer. It looks awesome, I know. Now, about the CPU I use in my PC, it is of the Haswell architecture, 4 cores, 8 threads, 3.6 gigahertz or a boost clock of 4 gigahertz. It is an 8 megabyte L3 cache, an 84 watt TDP, and it is 22 nanometer. It can support up to DDR3 1600, and it's the LGA 1150 socket. Now for my GPU. It's a very unexpected one, by the way. We have the NVIDIA Titan XP. It is the fastest Pascal card ever made. It is the one card from the 10 series that is better than the 1080 Ti. It has 3,840 CUDA cores. We have 12 gigs of GDDR5X VRAM. It has a 384-bit memory bus and a bandwidth of 547 gigabits a second with a base clock of 1405 megahertz and a boost clock of 1582 megahertz with a TDP of 250 watts. Now this uses an 8-pin and a 6-pin. The 980 Ti uses 2 8-pins. Now this GPU right here is really good for, it's still very good for 1440p and some 4K gaming. And this is going to be the first one I'm going to do video testing over. I'll show y'all everything specifically GPU-Z and CPU-Z. And I do have the correct NVIDIA drivers installed. We're going to be testing this on Cyberpunk and Pragmata. Those are the only 2 games I have installed currently, so yeah. This is my desktop. It is a 24-inch monitor, by the way. It's actually very nice compared to the laptop I had beforehand. And I just got the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse game. And we have all of those and those over here. This is an overclock setup. I think I overclocked it by 150 megahertz or whatever. And that is it before it starts crashing. At least trying to launch Pragmata anyway. It could probably launch on a lesser demanding game for sure. But yeah, pretty solid setup. I'm waiting on Pragmata to load. Sorry if the fans are incredibly loud because, well, I have this fan running at full blast to keep that cool, and that's also running pretty high. But that is my current FPS on the title screen. CPU usage at 43, at 46, pretty high 40s. And you can see what it's clocked at right now, 4.6. Then you got the GPU. It's only using 5 gigs of the 12 gigs of VRAM, and it's running at 60 degrees Celsius. Only using 7 gigs of our 16 gigs of RAM. But right here, we're running it in borderless window at 1440p by 1080, or 1440 by 1080. We can't run any of that because, well, my GPU can't support it. We're running with global illumination on high, FSR3 enabled, Fidelity FX Super Resolution 3 on quality. We're going to be using AMD FSR just to get us more smooth frame rate. We can't use this because we don't have DLSS because we're using the Titan card. Hair quality is on high, texture quality is on max, texture filtering is on max, mesh quality is on max, shadow quality is on medium, shadow cache is on, contact shadows are on, effects quality is on medium, video quality is 4K, and we also have ambient occlusion on SSAO. I don't know what that means. If anyone can tell me, please, I would appreciate it. Volumetric lighting on low because I don't really care about that. Bloom on, pretty much all of this on. But yeah, it's pretty high settings on an older GPU, and well, when you load into the game, you can see pretty good FPS. It does take a second to load in. It's telling me to activate Windows, even though I did whenever I literally booted it onto my PC. So, and Windows ain't happy because I ain't updated it either. So yeah. Right now you can see the loads on the CPU and GPU. It's a very GPU intensive game, really. But yeah, this is a solid game. I don't play it on keyboard and mouse, I play it on controller. There's Diana. Let's talk to her. Yeah, I paid for the DLC to get the extra outfits, just because why not? I love the game, it's fun. But as you can see, we're hitting 50 FPS with our settings, but we're gonna hit 100 with frame gen just because smoother frame rate. CPU usage, pretty high. Temps are pretty good. It's went up from 3.6 to 3.7 gigahertz. GPU is 63% at 55 degrees Celsius. And almost 7 gigabytes of VRAM used and 8 gigs of RAM being used. Now, I turn up my voltage and clock and all that, so my settings are going to run a little bit better than normal. So yeah, it's a very solid game though. I don't get any lag necessarily. I'm hitting like 110 FPS. I don't necessarily play on PC though. I do need to buy a tripod simply because so I can set up my phone like this while I test out games, and you're not having to deal with me playing with one hand on the keyboard because I literally have no other way to play while I'm recording. I mean, yes, I could record it on OBS and then import it into the video, but that's too much work. I edit all of these on my phone and keep it consistent. That's all I do. Alright, well, this is it for Pragmata. You know the settings, you know what it can run. Solid setup. And right here you can see I have GPU-Z and CPU-Z open. We have the i7-4790, and this is just for whoever really wants specifics. Now for the GPU, it cannot do half of that. Ray tracing, no. I think that's about it. I don't know. But yeah, it's a pretty solid old GPU. I enjoy using it. It's genuinely pretty fun. I just got it too, so it's playing whatever I want to, better than my laptop could. That's all that matters to me. And yeah, this is for anybody who wants specifics on my system. And if you want to know the motherboard, main board, it's just a random motherboard off of Amazon. And here is our memory. It should be running at way higher megahertz than that, but yeah. And here it will also tell you what GPU you're using and CPU Z, but it will not get into specifics like GPU Z. Now here, let's bench this. Should we bench our CPU? I don't know. Nah, I don't know what it all means anyway. But yeah, we're gonna boot up Cyberpunk and then see how that goes. Here we are in Cyberpunk. It's loaded up with my normal settings that my laptop gave me, and I'm hitting roughly 100 FPS with no FSR at a 60% of the GPU and 90% of the CPU being used, but they're both averaging about 50 degrees Celsius. Now we're going to come in here and change out our settings. This is because it's on low. We're gonna up this. We might just throw it on ultra and see what happens. I mean, might as well. I don't see why not. Yeah, we're gonna run the benchmark right here, confirm it. On loading screens, I do get a lot of FPS, but it's simply because I'm not having to render anything. Yeah, these are the two most beefy games I own that I play. I mean, I have Sea of Thieves, I don't touch it. I don't think I've played it since it got in my Steam library. So yeah. We're gonna look at the benchmark on ultra settings and we're gonna tweak with them from there. I do need to buy a phone thing, a thingy-mabobber that holds my phone. It'd be very helpful for what I do. And it looks like it froze. It might have crashed. Oh, it crashed. It wasn't happy. Oh, never mind. And yeah, it did crash. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reboot it and put it on high settings or medium settings and see what happens. I think it used way too much of my CPU and it just decided, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, we're gonna boot it back up, lower the settings and this and that. So yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I messed with my video settings over here. I changed it from regular 1080p to 1440 by 1080 because it sort of removes my CPU bottlenecking. My GPU is bad. Don't ask me how it works. And I lowered everything down to high. So now we're gonna run the benchmark and see what happens. Yeah, it looks goofy now because this is a 1080p monitor and I'm trying to run it by 1440 and 1080. But hey, pragmatic and look fine with it, so this one should. Yep, my FPS should be lower than 60 or higher than 60 with no FSR too. But yeah, this is the benchmark. It's not nearly, it's semi-accurate to in-game. In-game's actually going to be a little bit lower. I figured that out over my testing. Our GPU is not running at 1,000,000 degrees yet. Neither is our CPU. I thought that CPU hit 100 degrees Celsius before. Don't ask me how. It just has. But yeah, this is without FSR. Pretty solid. Playable FPS. I feel like it could play the game on ultra settings with FSR and you'd still manage over 100. Oh, and it crashed finally. I tell you, man, it's always when the CPU gets high usage. It's always when the CPU gets high usage. Okay, so the benchmark keeps failing on my PC. So yeah, I'm gonna reboot it and just try the actual game itself. I'll be back. This is getting old. I mean, look at this. It's on ultra settings. Ultra settings, normal FPS. But the second I it cut off whenever I got up to the actual club area. Let's see. Alright. Escape. Oh yeah, I have crowd density turned all the way off. Oh, wrong way. Where do I need to be going? I can't see what I'm doing. Down the hall to the right. Okay. See, the second I leave the room, it immediately crashes. I don't know why. But yeah, I guess that's the benchmarks on my computer.